So you guys ever been stuck in traffic? I'm sure we all have. And you're in traffic and you're sitting there kind of parked along and you're rumbling and you're thinking, what the heck is going on? Oh, no, wait. There must be an accident, right? There's always an accident. It's Houston. People don't know how to drive. Oh, no, it's construction. It's construction season, isn't it? Like spring? And then you get to the end of the road and you start driving quickly and you just like look around yourself and you're wondering, wait, nothing was wrong? People just stopped for nothing? Are you kidding me? This makes no sense. And today that's what I'm going to talk to you about. Things that make absolutely no sense. I'm going to talk to you about how I was dealing with something like that in my medical firm, where we're trying to come up with how to figure out to improve medical orders. It's something that's supposed to be kind of high tech, and yet it was not. And so I'm going to talk to you about what was going on, how I went about it, how I eventually failed to try to convert it, and what I learned from that experience. So a little bit of background, I'm working at a place called Alliance Family of Companies. What we're doing is we were doing neurodiagnostic testing, kind of EEGs, where they put the thing on your head to measure brain waves. But our kind of caveat was we were doing it in people's homes. So with no brick and mortar facility, the idea was that these physicians that you would go to, whether it be for, I guess your neurologist or your primary care physician, what they would do is they would send out these paper orders, fax it to us, telling us that we want this patient to get this test at this time, etc., etc. The problem is it says on paper, and that sometimes the people who would be writing it would be staff members. And these staff members aren't always the best trained or aren't always the most common sense. So what would happen? Sometimes we get these orders in, they'd be incomplete with like the most basic things: no name, no date, no physician signature. It's not even a valid order. It's literally just, please do this, and like the wrong address sometimes. So we would have a dedicated staff of about 5 individuals who would be constantly calling back, could you please give us this information? And I don't know the last time you tried to call your doctor to get some information, but let me tell you, it is a pain. Let alone trying to get 5 pieces of information. The system was a disaster. And ultimately, it was costing us 30% in incomplete orders, which, after some fancy calculation, is about $160,000 a year. So what was I going to do about it? Well, I tried to convince them that, look, we're trying to be a cutting-edge medical firm, and the only thing that we're cutting is the paper forms. So we need to come up with an electronic order form system that can really facilitate this process and reduce orders reduce errors at the same time. So I'm telling them, look, literally how every other hospital firm does it. They have this nice order form, and if you recall, if you're ever filling out things online, if you don't have something filled out or you've been filled incorrectly, they tell you, no, stop, you gotta go back, gotta fill it out again. So I tried to talk about that system and how it could seamlessly integrate it with our already existing electronic health system that we had. They didn't buy it. And I was thinking to myself how frustrated I was trying to figure it out, and so I tried to come up with it many different ways. Like, it's going to be cheap, it's going to be relatively easy to implement, two months at most, nothing flying. So ultimately, I found myself trying to figure out how to do it on my own. I created the whole system top bottom. Eventually, we were able to get the medical form system in, kind of create a template. And ultimately, the biggest barrier for us was trying to get around all of HIPAA's constraints. Now, once they saw the finished product, they were more willing to kind of go with it. We did a pilot program, everything was successful, yay team. But walking away from it, I realized that my biggest problem in trying to convince people about this was my frame of reference. I didn't create an urgency. I didn't properly demonstrate to them why exactly we needed this at this specific time, because we were a small firm, and for small firms like that, sometimes, even when things aren't working well, if it's working, you don't want to break it, so you leave it as is. So on top of that, I had to also frame it not from my perspective, but from the C-suite's perspective. What were they thinking? What things were they wanting to accomplish in the firm? How would this accommodate with the rest of their long-term plans? So to really reinforce this, I also took time to talk with my immediate superior about, hey, how can I go about this next time? Really like, what did you see with the missing flaws in this presentation? Please help me. So after that conversation, I realized I'm going to reinforce those things. And so, again, I found that while I was trying to convince people on how to convert medical forms into electronic forms, I learned how to frame it properly. I learned how to create need. And ultimately, I was successful in the next project where we had to kind of figure out how to allocate staff. So